Hello, Newport, and welcome to From the Desk of the Mayor, or From the Mayor's Desk. I never quite get it right. But today we have fellow council member Rick Ufford-Chase, who's joining us. Welcome.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
And we want to keep you updated, Newport, on what's going on, so you know that we have my mayor's hours as well, and I thank you all for coming. They're on Mondays from 9 to 11 a.m. at the council room, and on Wednesdays by appointment. And the reason they're by appointment is because sometimes we have businesses come in and we just need a little bit more time. And so the open meetings are on Monday from 9 to 11. And I love that you're coming in and we're listening to you and you're bringing all of your concerns or your great ideas. If you want to be a presenter at the council meeting, please make sure you reach out to me, and I will make sure that on appropriate time we get you on the agenda. But right now I want to turn to my fellow council member, and I would love for council member Ufford-Chase to bring us up to speed on some of the grants and the projects that are going on in Newport. It's all yours.
Fabulous. I appreciate the chance to come and do this, actually, and I'd love to kind of catch up on the various pieces that we're working on. Most folks know, and I'll just reiterate, that I'm the director of Newport Downtown Development, so I kind of wear two hats. And we've been a partner to the city since 2007 under the old name Newport City Renaissance Corporation, now functioning under the name Newport City Downtown Development. And so in the last year, we've had quite a bit of success at raising funds for different projects that the city's been interested in for a long time. So I'll just kind of rattle those off and give a quick description of each one, if that's okay. Most folks know now about the project we started last September with the governor's visit to inaugurate a project that we're doing together with North Country Career Center. This is money that came through the state, through the Vermont Community Loan Fund. It's a zero-interest loan that came to Newport City Downtown Development for us to purchase the house on the corner of Union and East Main Street. And that house is being renovated by students. They've been working on it all winter. It's been totally gutted inside, and they're now working on the exterior of that house. And the plan over the long term, if we can work out all the permitting details, is to actually add at least one more building on that property that would be an additional residence. So we hope that this will keep the students busy for the next 4 or 5 years at least.
So on that note, I had actually spoken with the governor, and he'd asked me for an update on what was going on. And so maybe you could get me some pictures that I could share with the governor
Absolutely.
and his administration.
Happy to do that, yeah.
That would be great. So tell us, what about, if you don't mind, the VORIC grant? If you could go there, but then I also want you to kind of run with what you want to bring us up to speed.
Yeah, no, great. VORIC was next on my list, actually. So VORIC stands for Vermont Outdoor Recreation Economy Collaborative. And it's a state-run program that has given money across the state to support the development of outdoor recreation as a fundamental part of local communities' economies. We actually got another grant before my time with Newport Downtown Development that helped to pay for the bridge that goes from Prouty Beach to Bluffside Farm, the pedestrian bridge. This round, we organized a group of 11 different partners, including Newport Downtown Development as the lead applicant, also including the City of Newport Recreation Department, and 9 other organizations that all are doing some kind of outdoor recreation work in the community. We all banded together, and we put in a proposal together that was funded to the tune of $200,000. And I've spent the last 3 months doing paperwork to try and work out all the executing agreements that are necessary from the state's perspective. And that money is now able to flow. As of 2 days ago, we have the signed agreement, and we've got sub-agreements out to each organization. And as soon as they sign those sub-agreements, we'll be able to move ahead. So what's it going to pay for? It's going to do things like, for the city of Newport, it's going to provide a dock system over in Gardner Park to replace the old dock over there.
That's exciting.
That's very exciting because that dock is, I walk that dock a lot. It's pretty rickety.
Yeah, I'm glad you do the walking on that dock, and I'll wait for the new one.
It's coming. And Mike Brown, our recreation department head, has a great plan. He wants to buy a couple of pedal boats and a monster pedal boat that people will be able to rent right off the dock there and play around on the basin there in Gardner Park, which would be great.
Is that called tootling? Is that
tootling around? Yeah. Well, if you're in a monster boat, I don't think you tootle.
Yeah, right.
So, and then we're also going to buy some e-bikes. I think at least 4 e-bikes with that money, and the city will add those to its rental fleet so that people will be able to rent the bikes and use the waterfront recreation path. So that's one example, and every one of the 11 organizations has got some different piece of the pie, right? So, for example, Memphremagog Trails is going to purchase a yurt to use as a welcome and kind of gathering and warming hut on the trail system.
So exciting. That's exciting.
And I won't rehearse them all, but really, they're all equally exciting.
And who manages the money, like when it comes in? Can you explain that to
Yeah,
our residents?
so as a lead applicant, Newport Downtown Development made the application on behalf of all of the organizations. The organizations have to front the money on the purchase. It's a reimbursement grant. Then we will work with them through Newport Downtown Development to submit a reimbursement application or request, and the money will come back and flow back to the organization at that point.
And this was all approved by the council?
It was approved by the council several times because we went back as the thing changed and we learned about more of how it would work.
And that's what's really important for Newport residents to understand. The council revisits all of these policies or grants, and we work together to make sure that there is an update and it's something that may alter what we thought was going on, that we revisit them to make sure that we want to continue to proceed if there's any changes going along. And Council Member Ufford-Chase has been fantastic in keeping us up to speed on what's going on with all of these grants, and thank you for that, because that's important.
You know, I find that those moments in the city council meetings, before I became a part of the council, they were, you know, I would go because I really wanted to be a part of that conversation, and they were always really uplifting moments because everybody has something we can be excited about together, and I'm finding that's true as a council member as well. I look forward to the moments when any organization comes to the council and says, we have energy, here's what we want to do, and gives the council something to be able to affirm and respond to.
And that's great, because you just made me think of something I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
So you are new to the council, and it's fantastic, and I mean, you're a great council member. How do you feel about it? Like, is it what you expected? Are you learning? What's going on?
Oh, I'm learning like crazy. And, you know, I'm 3 months in, so it's very new for me still. And what I'm mostly experiencing is that there's all kinds of opportunity for people to get excited together and work on things together. So, you know, part of it is I'm learning how to ask good questions. And I think that's pretty important that the council members engage, and we may agree or disagree at the end of the day, but finding a way to ask questions of whoever's presenting to us or of one another seems pretty critically important to me. So little by little, if people who are watching every week, I think, are noticing, or every other week when we gather, are noticing that I'm beginning to find my voice to ask more questions, which was my goal. You know, in general, I start any new venture with the assumption that I have far more to learn than I have to offer.
We all do.
Right. And so I've spent 3 months just kind of sitting tight. You know, I think a lot of our work right now on the council is about creating, I don't know what to call them, kind of guardrails, things that help us to be consistent and fair and thoughtful in how we do the city's business. So at the end of the day, if we can create those ways in which we are going to agree to be in compliance with one another, right, about how the city policies will be handled, then when we get more requests that come in the door, it's easy for us to say, well, we've got a policy about that, and we can turn to the policy. It doesn't mean that there might never be exceptions to the policy. Sure. Things change, and there are things that come up. But I like the idea, actually, of trying to create those ways of helping us all stay consistent and thoughtful with one another.
Right, and that was the whole point. We need to get into compliance. You know, things morph, right? And as council members change, new ideas come in, and people have different backgrounds, whether they be more business oriented, legally oriented, not-for-profit oriented. It's all good. But the key right now is we are taking a deep dive to go in to look for, we don't want to be accused of fraud. We want to make sure that we are in compliance so that we can ethically take money from the state and the federal governments. And that's the key. They're not going to give you money if you don't have your ducks in order. Okay? I mean, that's the key. So it's just a matter of let's do good governance. Let's come in and have oversight from one another, separation of duties where it's supposed to be. Have the council come in and see things and fix. And you said it. It's not concrete. You can't move from it. Okay, there are going to be exceptions, but those are pretty much the four corners of the compliance document, and then we will address each issue. It's for the purpose of having the government be in place so that no matter who sits in the seat, they can kind of follow within the rules and the guidelines. And that's why we have a charter, and that's why we have laws, and it actually is what we're supposed to do. We're the legislative body. We need to do this. And I think it's working. I have been receiving comments at my mayor's meetings, emails. They love the transparency. They love the discussion actually going on now in the council room. And you're part of that. And I appreciate the fact that you are asking the questions now and we are taking a deeper dive, because that's what our people need to hear. You know, they want to know about it. So tell me anything more about what's going on for our city biking. I know there's a big biking event coming on.
Oh, we have this thing called the Ciclo Gourmet that actually has been organized primarily by a colleague from Magog who works with the MRC Memphremagog. The MRC is kind of roughly equivalent to a county here on this side of the border, except they have far more resources and they have a pretty significant staff, and they're very invested in trying to build an international destination out of Memphremagog and to work together with Newport and Derby and try and make this thing kind of flow, all of us together. So one of the first efforts is a week from Saturday. There will be 50 people, 25 from Canada, 25 from the U.S., who will be biking together about 60 or 70 kilometers, starting in Stansted, going up to Ayers Cliff, back through Derby, down to Newport for lunch, and then back up to complete the day in Stansted.
I'm so psyched.
So, and in fact, today, the leaders of that trip are out right now doing the precursor bike ride to make sure that it's all set. So,
oh, wow, the practice run.
The practice run.
Wow.
So that's going great. And then, you know, we've got all kinds of things going on this summer. Wednesdays on the Waterfront has added an extra week. So Andrea and Veronica, and Veronique, Andrea and Vero have kind of put that together and added 7 this year instead of 6
So
weeks.
when will that start?
Starts the first Wednesday in July.
July.
Runs through the third Wednesday, I think, in August.
Now that is exciting too.
Yes. Yeah. And now we're in the process we've lined up food trucks along the empty block like we did last summer. So there'll be 5 trucks each week. And we've got this new idea I don't think I've even had a chance to tell you about.
Oh, wait, this is top news. Wait, get ready. Here we go.
The board of Newport Downtown Development met in a special meeting on Thursday afternoon and approved at least the exploration. We're trying to move as quickly as we can. Our goal is to try and create as many as a dozen push carts for vendors to rent that will line Main Street and be inside in the tasting center. We'll rent some space in the tasting center for them to be stored or even used in bad weather, but they'll be on wheels so they can be wheeled out and put along the empty block. Wow. And they'll have all kinds. They're fashioned after the Boucanis de Paris. If you go along the Seine, I've never been there, but I'm told that along the Seine River in Paris, there are all of these kind of newsstand operations. And they're not deep booths that you stand inside of. They're more like the old-fashioned New York newsstands where you would stand in front of it. So the whole thing is maybe 20 inches deep. There's plenty of room on the sidewalk. And the idea is to have artists and jewelry makers and booksellers and newsprint and whatever lining the street, and to have those things going on at the high-volume moments like Wednesday nights and Friday, Saturday, Sundays this summer.
You know, that would be fantastic for us.
Wouldn't it be amazing to have?
No, totally amazing. I mean, I know from Manhattan what you're talking about.
Yep.
And I know also from France what you're talking about. This is absolutely amazing.
Well, stay tuned, because I have yet to talk with the council about it.
Okay, so
we'll come back to the council in the next meeting.
Emergency meeting. No,
have a conversation.
We can't have emergency meeting. But
we'll do it at the next meeting. That's plenty of time. But we're moving ahead on the idea and trying to do a prototype to get a sense of how much it'll take to. There's a designer at Built by Newport who's helping us to design this thing. and we'll see how it goes. I'm very excited about it.
This is great. Your energy and you're tapping in, you're just such an asset. This is just fantastic. I really appreciate it. I do want everybody to know that the council member and myself had a meeting with some developers who are bringing their ideas now about what they would like to do and, give us proposals on participating in developing Newport. Yes, it includes the whole. Okay, but we're listening and we're getting closer and closer to bringing more and more information to the council. And so we're also waiting on the plan that's going to be coming forward, and I'm going to ask the councilman to explain that so you understand what I'm talking about. And then we will keep these developers in the loop so that we can see how flexible they are to working with what the council believes and the people of Newport believe is the best for Newport. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, about the plan that we funded? And
yes. So in November, again, right before I became a part of the council voted to affirm a proposal from Newport Downtown Development that we would, at no administrative cost to the city, manage a 6-month-long project to create an enhanced master plan and feasibility study for long-term economic development in downtown Newport. And the way to do that, we had helped to raise some money that it all came to the city. So the city is actually sitting on enough funding for us to hire a company that will come in beginning this week, actually. We've chosen the company. The council has approved the company that's been chosen now. And they will begin their work. And their starting point is to look at all of the various reports and studies and projects that have been done since 2009. There must be 12 of them out there. So they'll look at all of what's been done, look for the gaps, and then create a step-by-step guide for what it will take for us to do serious public infrastructure development that will lay the groundwork for long-term redevelopment of some key sites, including the whole along Main Street, but not just that.
Correct.
Key sites all through our downtown area, so that 10 years down the road, we can all look at it and say, wow, this is a downtown we want to spend time in.
Right. And, the infamous hole should not be looked at as a silo. It's part of Newport.
Correct.
And we need to be smart about this, and we need to say, what's the most valuable property? How does it all work together holistically so that we don't do any spot fixing and make the wrong decisions?
So if people want to learn more about that, there's a great opportunity coming up a week from tomorrow, so Juneteenth, Wednesday the 19th of June. It's an open invitation to the community to come to Newport Downtown Development's annual meeting. The mayor will be with us. Jonathan Delabriere, our city manager, will be with us. The focal point of that evening will be a panel discussion looking at how other communities have handled this long-term development question. So the mayor of St. Albans, Tim Smith, and Chip Sawyer, who's their economic development specialist, will both be on that panel to talk about the transformation that St. Albans has been through. And Seth Leonard from the Vermont Housing Finance Agency will be there to talk about financing housing in this state and the challenges that we confront and the ways that that agency is doing its best to try and support communities. So that panel will take place. It'll be about an hour of the conversation that evening from 5:30 to 7:30.
So how does the public come? How do they find out? What do they do?
Honestly, if anybody wants to just show up, that's fine. But we are trying to keep a count. We're above 90 people at this point who have said they're coming. So if you want to come, the easiest way is to go on our Facebook page for Newport Downtown Development. And there's an event created that you can respond to, and we'll capture your information. Or you can reach out and contact me directly through Newport Downtown Development.
Excellent. Excellent. And if anybody reaches out to me, I will forward that information to our council member. So please, because I know you know how to reach me, so reach out so I can make sure that the information gets over to the council member and his organization. That's so important.
I should point out, it's free, and it's not a fundraising event. The point is not to raise money for Newport Downtown Development. It's to report on all the work we're doing and bring the community along, because at the end of the day, we've got to build a consensus in this community about what we're working toward and go there together. So this is kind of a first effort to really try and name those long-term economic development questions and begin to get a conversation going. I say that with care. There's been a lot of effort made in this community over the last 20 years in this direction. This is a renewed effort to kind of begin again with a new start and say, okay, what could we really do to make a difference now?
Right, and based upon what we've seen and discussed, you want it to be new, and that's why you're going to have this panel, because they're pretty much have gone through this.
Right.
And they have ideas on where they had mistakes and how they went forward, and they understand the steps that would be needed, how long it would take, financial responsibilities. So you need to reach out.
Yeah, I've been over to St. Albans, and I've talked with colleagues now in 6 or 7 cities across Vermont, and each one does it differently. And each one has something to teach us, both about what we probably should be doing and also about pitfalls. And the good news is most of those communities are willing to share both.
And it's okay.
And we all learn from one another, speaking of creating consensus, right, and figure out the next steps.
That's right. Well, I'm looking forward to this one, very much so. And I'm hoping that more and more people from Newport come and listen, because I also think it's a good way for you to engage with all of us and then see the kind of work that's coming before your council, because it all ends up there at the end of the day. And so join us, okay? I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. The more and more conversations we have, the community forums that we have, we're doing this because we want to hear from you and want you to understand what we're thinking. So thank you for this.
No, thank you.
Anything special you want to add now, or?
No, I think we covered a lot of land, a lot of territory in 25 minutes.
That's right. So please come to my mayor meetings, Mondays and Wednesdays, as I said, Wednesday by appointment. My council members show up. We do not have a forum, okay, a quorum, I'm saying. So the bottom line is show up. I'm there. Also, thank you, NEK-TV, for letting us keep you updated through this forum from the mayor's desk. Have a wonderful week, Newport. We love you. Bye.